There's just one thing I need to say from this manifestation challenge, and that is rest in peace to your single state. Welcome back, everyone. Today is day 5 of our 7-day manifestation challenge, taking you to your specific person. And yes, you are already with your specific person and you are already receiving all the love you could ever want. This is when we're going to slam the door on our manifestation. And also remember and keep in mind, because I know it is day 5, that time is not a factor when it comes to manifestation. So if it's taking longer than you think, or you're not getting the results in your 3D that you want, that's perfectly fine, because everything is a bridge of events and it's going to show up in a way that is perfect for you. So absolutely don't worry. But today I have another couple quotes, and I wanted to kind of touch on a few people's updates that they commented, because I want to make sure that you make it to your specific person, as well as I wanted to go over, because someone commented the story of Neville Goddard going to Barbados from the person that basically taught him everything, which is Abdullah. And I think that is an amazing story to go over, which talks about not only time, but the process of manifestation, and it describes it perfectly. But I also wanted to go over why we may experience problems or road bumps in our reality and how they absolutely mean nothing when it comes to your manifestation. So here's the first quote from Neville Goddard. So he wrote, "The world presents different appearances according as our states of consciousness differ. What we see when we are identified with a state cannot be seen when we are no longer fused with it. By state is meant all that man believes and consents to as true. No idea presented to the mind can realize itself unless the mind accepts it. It depends on the acceptance, the state with which we are identified, how things present themselves." Basically stating that you are not going to see the perfect path taking you from wherever you are to your manifestation unless we are in the state of it. And as we shift and move states, the concept of time or the concept of how to get to your specific person is going to change as well. So again, if it feels difficult or hard, or it feels like you are experiencing a lot of time in your manifestation, that's okay, because it just has everything to do with our state of consciousness. Because once we leave a state, it makes no sense as to why we felt or were viewing our reality in such a way. Take, for example, someone who might feel in an unwealthy state or in a poverty state. With this individual, they're going to view themselves or seeing a certain reality that is much different from the wealthy person. And the same thing is when we are in a single state. When we are in a single state, we see the world so much differently than as we are in a relationship. So in this challenge, make sure to be very patient with yourself, because as you switch and shift states, you are going to see and experience something totally different, because the single individual is going to see their reality as being single, right? They're going to see it as being lonely. And so that's what they will be experiencing outside. They will point to a whole bunch of evidence and data backing them up too, why their specific person might not care for them or might not like them. But remember, it's all connected to the state. And as you leave this state, so start to identify more with the version of yourself that already has your specific person, you are no longer going to see those negative occurrences, and you're going to understand or be confused why you ever saw that in the first place. Your reality is going to look so much more abundant. But then I also wanted to explain and show the story of Neville Goddard going to Barbados, or a little snippet of it. So it's basically going to be story time here of one of the greatest stories of all time. It's just a snippet of it again. So I would make sure to go back and actually look up or read the full story. But I wanted to go into this because it shows how your state is fully expressing itself in your reality, and that's why you are seeing what you are seeing, and how it only is those doubts or the lack of focus that is changing or altering our mind away from it. So without further ado, let me give you a little snippet that I think is really important to this situation. And so for background, Neville Goddard is attempting to get back to his home country, which is Barbados, and he's trying to manifest it without doing any effort. So here's where the story begins. He said, and this is Abdullah talking, so this is his teacher, "Yes, you are now in Barbados, and so you see Barbados, and you see America from Barbados, and you can smell the tropical land of Barbados, see only the little homes of Barbados, and that's all you do. You just simply sleep this night in Barbados." And then Neville Goddard responds, "Well, I thought him insane, really. I mean, at the moment it seems so stupid, because 72nd Street, because he's in New York, we still had 50 and 60-story buildings, and little Barbados with a little 3-story building, almost the tallest that you'd find, and narrow little streets and no sidewalks, and I'm walking on a sidewalk that is wider than the widest street in Barbados on 72nd Street. So he's walking New York, trying to pretend as if he's in Barbados, and it seems absolutely ridiculous. this to him. Well, nevertheless, that night I slept in Barbados. I assumed that I'm in Barbados in my mother's home and that I saw America relative to Barbados, and it wasn't under me that night. It was north of me, about 2,000 miles. Well, the next day, I didn't tell him anything. About a week later, he's talking about Abdullah again. About a week later, when nothing happened, I thought I would approach him. This time we've moved into November. I said, Ab, not a thing has happened. He wouldn't discuss it with me. He turned his back on me and went into his little library and slammed the door. About 3 times I tried to open up the discussion with my friend Ab between that moment when I first talked to him and the end. He would never discuss it on the basis, how could he discuss it with me? How I'm going to Barbados when I'm already in Barbados? That's stupid to discuss how I'm going to go when I am already in Barbados. And if I am faithful to my assumption, I can't discuss the how I'm already there. And so basically, the basis of this story is that during the process, we're always going to be kind of doubting everything that's happening. And we're going to want to talk about or complain or think about and dwell upon why we are not what we already want to be. But this absolutely does no good. So obviously at the end of the story, he ends up manifesting coming to Barbados. And I don't want to ruin the story because it's something that I think would be really good read. And we could even read it on this channel in the future. But basically he ends up manifesting everything he wants. But his teacher Abdullah would refuse to talk about it at all, would just absolutely refuse it. And this is how we want to act in our reality, right? Because it's only these problems or circumstances or things that we're making up that are causing us to doubt what we are doing. And you can think about it almost in the way, if you imagine you from where you are to your specific person, you can imagine it like a straight line, but then that we create problems and circumstances in order to stop ourselves from changing states because we feel as if it is something, it's uncomfortable or uncommon or unnatural to feel different from the state that we're in. Think about the person who feels like they are in a poverty state. They're going to feel very uncomfortable getting into a wealthy state. But then the same vice versa. The wealthy person go into the wealthy person go into the unwealthy state. But the same thing is with being single, going to a relationship state. Sometimes that can feel uncomfortable and it's different from what we normally perceive or feel. So we create these problems or think that we need to overcome certain things in order to do it, but that's truly not the case. So think of any circumstances you feel are in your reality right now. I know it feels like we need to overcome these things, but truly we don't. Or think about past trauma. Like someone commented on one of my videos that it was hard to manifest their specific person because they were going through certain trauma. But really, who is saying that your specific person can't be with you going through or helping you with that trauma? And you'd say, oh, well, there's no assumption that that can't happen, so why can't it? And a lot of people think that they have to work through all of these crazy things, which again, it's okay. If you feel you need to do something in order to manifest your specific person, there's no problem with that, right? But just know that you don't have to absolutely or actually do that. It's totally up to you. But that's the point of the story of Barbados. So you are already with your specific person and you are already receiving all the love that you could ever wish for. It's already done. There's nothing extra to do. And so Ab completely slams the door on all these ideas. But of course, obviously, if you want to talk about your problems, like if you comment something that's going on with your situation, I'm not going to slam the door in your face, right? Because everyone's path or a transition from one state to another is going to be very unique to themselves. So anything you feel is going to help you get into your end state. I think that would be something that you should do in the same way that in a previous video of when it was either day 3 or 4, I think, where I talk about doing things that reaffirm your state. That obviously is going to be something very important to the outcome you want, but it's absolutely not necessary. Meaning you don't have to do anything in your external reality except just think and feel as if you already have it. That's why Abdullah is absolutely slamming the door in Neville's face when he comes to trying to discuss or talk about why he's not in Barbados, because it makes no sense. You can't talk about it if you are already there. And so again, I want everybody to take this idea with a grain of salt, because that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do things in your reality you think would help you, because that's your divine guidance, right? Neville Goddard would act in any way he feels inspired to do in his reality, or if he felt like he needed to overcome something, he would do that as well. But then we just want to remember that we want to continue with whatever it is we feel makes the most sense, taking us from where we are to our specific person, in the same way that he is doing the same thing with Barbados, except he's obviously not going to talk about how he's going to get there or what's going on or why it's not working, because it absolutely makes no sense. It's only going to put his attention and energy on a place or area in which he doesn't want to go, and that obviously is never going to help us out. And so with this being said, hopefully it's going to change the perspective that you have on the road bumps or problems that you are perceiving that you have within your reality. And I know sometimes it makes us feel like we're delusional, right? We're just thinking and imagining it's already being there. But obviously, again, your mind wants to be there, but in your reality, you would act in whatever way you felt the most obligated, not obligated, but inspired to do. So you wouldn't completely ignore things in your reality. And I can even give you in future videos another quote about this kind of occurring and why that makes sense. But in your imagination, you're already there. So there is no point in talking about how you're not there or how you're going to get there. I mean, maybe talking about how you're going to get there if you do feel inspired by it, but it's all, you don't have to talk about it basically. But obviously in this sense, in the 7-day challenge, or if you have a coach or anything like that, it makes sense to talk about what you're kind of feeling or your fears are, because it's going to be all unique, because every single person has specific things that they think need to occur in order to get their manifestation, but it is very unique to each individual. And that's why you should always focus on whatever is divinely inspiring you at any given moment in time. And then also, because I wanted to touch on a couple kind of updates from viewers, because I think this is really cool to see everyone's progress. But again, I almost want to make a video about time, because if you're not receiving the results you want yet, that's okay. There's absolutely no problem with this at all. It is just our own assumptions, right? Why we're not having it. I guarantee you're on the perfect bridge of events, but I wanted to give a couple examples that really explain this. So the first one, this was the comment from the guy in the previous video. I said, I definitely want to hear from this individual. He wrote, I'm the guy who got the call, but missed it. She sent a message saying, talk soon, promise. Currently feeling into pure presence of myself and her. Kind of a unique thing, focusing on my core frequency. Maybe that's a part of the state change. It feels like she is just behind my visual reality in some invisible form. Edit, on the phone with her now, talking clothes, hot dogs, Zaosu, Taoism, tolerance, and prison. Basically a bunch of stuff. This is awesome. So I love that update. So make sure to update your own situation going on. As well as this, I thought there's a really cool comment too that I thought is really showing the power of manifestation. So this person wrote, okay, Kyle, I don't want to affirm this, but I generally find myself so depressed, looking for external validation and feeling alone, etc. But yesterday, I tapped into such a state, I don't give a blank, and focused on myself. He just texted at that moment when I was doing a self-care routine. I was totally detached and didn't give a blank. This can be a success story of the week. I would say so. I would definitely say that is an amazing success story, but it just shows, again, it's the Barbados, right? You're already in Barbados and you already went for first class. You're already with your specific person and you're already receiving all the love you want. You're already there. And when you focus on that, weird and strange and odd things begin to occur, just like this person. Look at the first sentence. Okay, Kyle, I don't want to affirm this, but I was generally finding myself depressed. They were depressed, right? And found themselves tapped into the state from maybe, hopefully it was from this 7-day challenge, but something tapped into them and they were able to change their state, and then everything changed. In that moment, things changed. So when we think about going to Barbados first class or being with our specific person already and just refusing to allow anything within our mind, things are going to alter and change. But again, I want to make a video probably next time on time, because it doesn't matter if you're experiencing time. Time is all relative to what you think or feel needs to happen. I made a bunch of videos on time, but I don't want anyone to feel that if you're in the 7-day challenge, you're like, oh my gosh, it's day 5, it's getting to the end. No, seeing a visual representation of what you want has nothing to do with your progress or how close you are to your manifestation. So always, always keep that in mind. As well as this, if you did have any questions at all on anything we talked about or your updates, please let me hear about all your updates, all your successes, all your worries, all your anxieties in the comment section below, as well as any questions. I love the questions when you guys send that over. You guys are doing absolutely fantastic on this challenge. And remember, if you're not getting exactly what you want in results yet, that's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, right? Your external reality doesn't mean absolutely anything. If you did want to send me a personal question or personal message, a personal success, something like that, make sure to head over to kyleaugustcoaching.com, head over to the contact tab, and then you can reach me personally. As well as this, I'm so excited that we're doing the 7-day challenge. Make sure to like this video. If you are following through with everything, you are on the path, you are making sure you are today going to be with your specific person just for today, the next 24 hours, act as if you're already with them. You already are receiving all the love you want. You went to Barbados, it's first class. Act as if I'm Abdullah talking to you right now. It's already done. It's already over. There's nothing left to do. There's nothing to talk about, right? Nothing at all, unless you need to talk about it. Because again, every path and every situation situation is very unique. So if you feel like you need to talk about it, then that's your journey, that's your progress. Comment it down below and I'll absolutely help. But thanks again, everyone, so much for stopping by today. I'm so glad that you guys are here on this 7-day challenge, and I can't wait to see you in my next video tomorrow.